A very good evening and welcome to BSM TV. We welcome you once again on this special hours of the Sabbath as we are going to go into an overdrive tonight of something that has been very controversial in the world. We need to dig into the scriptures to find out what does God say about what we're going to discuss tonight. Our subject for tonight is where in the Bible do we find the 5 angels' messages? And to get answers to that, we've got our special guest for tonight. We've got Elder Mashir, who is going to be driving us into the scriptures to find all the answers relative to this subject. So we are so grateful for having Elder Mashir here. We welcome you once again. Elder Mashir, welcome.
Thank you, Pastor. And blessed Sabbath to everyone and viewers and listeners.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to be here, to be given that opportunity to come and explain more about this subject in the way I understand.
Well, to be honest, I think it's a very controversial subject, and there's so many speculations around it. And I think it's everyone's will tonight, as we're going to gather together to find out what does the Bible and the spirit of prophecy say relating to this subject.
Right.
So, what do you have to say? Maybe just to delve into the scriptures right away.
The only way is to find out first where in the Bible or in the spirit of prophecy do we find these 5 angels' messages, because I can see there are efforts for people to go up to the first angel, which was William Miller, or the second angel, which was preached by William Miller in 1833, and also the third angel coming in 1844. So from 1833, he was preparing for the, preaching of the second angel's message, which came in 1844.
Okay.
And then in 1844, Sister White was also preaching the third angel's message. And some people have just stopped with Sister White. They did not attempt to go further to the 4th angel, the 4th and the 5th angel. So we have to identify where to get these angels' messages first, and we find no other than Revelation 14, verse. Shall we start from Revelation 14, verse 6 to 7? That's the first angel's message.
Maybe before we open, I would like to invite all of you guys, all of you brethren, to take your Bibles, your spirit of prophecy. Let's move together, so that as we are going to get along with this study, no one is going to miss out, and we will be looking into your own Bible and to your own spirit of prophecy to verify whatever we're going to talk tonight. So yeah, like she said, let's go to Revelation chapter 14. Is it what you said, Elder?
Right, chapter 14.
Revelation chapter 14.
Right, go to verse 6 to 7.
And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of the waters.
So in 1831, God raised this guy called William Miller.
That's right.
Who preached the first angel's message after reading from Daniel chapter 8, verse 13 to 14, saying, Unto 2,300 days shall the sanctuary then be cleansed.
Right.
Which was, the counting starts from 457 BC up to 2,300 days, go up to 1844.
That's right. That's right.
So he read and understood that, and it remains a fundamental belief in our setup.
For Advent believers.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
So from there, he was being raised. So we find more about William Miller on Revelation chapter 10, where we see this angel coming with the book of Daniel, which had been promised to Daniel that is going to be opened in the time of the end. So the time of the end starts with the opening of the prophecies of Daniel. The book of Daniel is closed, because it was told
to seal up the book.
To seal up the book,
yes,
in Daniel chapter 12. But the book of Revelation is not closed.
It's a revelation.
It's a revelation.
Yeah.
Its name actually says it's revealed.
That's right.
So many people, once you don't understand Daniel, you will never understand Revelation. So that's why the first thing in the time of the end, God comes in Revelation 10 with an angel opening a book. And we know the only book in the Bible which was promised to be opened
Is Daniel?
is Daniel, the
That's
book of
right.
Daniel.
That's
So
right.
that's what William Miller was raised to read. And read that book and saw this note on Daniel chapter 8, verse 13 to 8 to 14. That is unto 2,300 days. So he saw the cleansing of the sanctuary. He saw that it was the coming of Christ on earth. But in actual fact, he was correct in the timing
Okay.
from 2,300 days. But the event was not such as coming on earth. But Christ was coming from the third heavens to the first heavens, where the earthly throne had been set up.
Okay.
And we see that from Daniel, where he comes in Daniel chapter 7, after verse 9. That is when the little horn was uttering things, changing terms and laws. And then we see after that, the scene is shown in heaven, where thrones were set.
And the Ancient of Days.
And the Ancient of Days coming to sit. And then that's when we see Christ coming in front of
The Ancient of Days.
the Ancient of Days. That's not his setup when it's in the third heavens, because we find it when Stephen was stoned in the book of Acts, that before Stephen died, when he was being stoned, the ark in heaven, the heavens opened, and he saw Christ standing on the right side of the Ancient of
The
Days.
Ancient of Days.
So that is the scene in the third heavens, which Christ assumed, the position he assumed when he went up to heaven. He went straight to the
Right hand side. Of
right
the
hand side, which is in the third heavens, which is a universal throne. When I say universal throne, where God,
The Father.
the Father, reigns when he rules the whole universe.
That's quite profound.
But in 1844, we see then, after, when you read Daniel chapter 7, precisely, you find now the scene changes after the man of sin was changing times and laws and uttering things that heaven was
Blasphemous.
watching. Then heaven gives a vision to Daniel to watch what is in heaven now. The thrones were set
Being
up.
set up. Okay. I
They
see.
now, that's why you understand in the end of that book of Daniel chapter 7, you find that they will arrest the men of sin. That's what they did. Why? Because the thrones now had set up. They now want the freedom of worship. So that's why all those who were being persecuted, they went to be established their headquarters out of Jerusalem. And we know exactly where they went. So, why? Because now it was in conjunction with the thrones which were set, and in conjunction with the freedom of worship which was given to people. That time in America, all churches established their headquarters fleeing from persecution, and that was because the thrones, it's said in Daniel chapter 7 there, when the thrones were set, go to verse 26, in Daniel chapter 27, you said that scenario is where people were now given this injunction of freedom of worship. Go to Daniel chapter 7,
Verse
verse
26.
26, yeah.
But the judgments shall sit,
So these thrones of the judgments will sit, right?
and they shall take away his dominion,
Then the dominion of the men of sin was taken off.
Taken away.
to consume and to destroy it unto the end.
Right. So why did they arrest him in 1798? Because the judgment in heaven,
It's set.
in the first heaven, not in the third heaven.
Okay. I
So
see, I
this
see.
is what Christ was coming. He actually came in clouds from the third heavens to the first heaven. Let's see him coming in clouds in Daniel chapter 7, where you are reading, verse 13. How did he come? Verse 13.
I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man
Right?
came with the clouds of heaven,
Right. So you see, he's coming from the third heavens
To
in
the
the
first
clouds. Going where?
and came to the Ancient of Days.
Where the Ancient of Days in
Wow.
where is the Ancient of Days? From, you see, read from verse 9 there.
Verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down.
So Daniel was beholding the men of sin till thrones were
Cast down.
cast down. Did you see that? And what happened?
And the Ancient of Days did sit,
So that's when the judgment scene
Was set up.
occurred.
Okay.
So this is what we find in verse 26 where it says, the judgment shall sit, and they will take away his
The
dominion.
of the man of sin.
So that's how they arrested him, because the judgment set in 1798, preparatory for the judgment scene, which starts now in full force in 1844.
Which is the one that William Miller was
Which is
proclaiming.
the one that William Miller was proclaiming, that is the coming of Christ on earth, but it was the coming of Christ
From the third heaven.
from the third heavens
to the first one.
first one.
Okay. Wow.
So this is why Christ came in clouds in verse 13. Repeat that verse 13.
13.
Mhm.
And I saw in the night visions, and behold, one
Right.
like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him.
Right. So he is now near before him.
Before
But
the
that's not the scenario in the
heaven.
third heavens. It's not before. Stephen saw him on the right side. So you see, there are some people who just confuse that. They say when he went to heaven in 1831, he just went once and he's just going to come back once from the same position. No. Daniel chapter 7 says he has to come in clouds to the first heavens, where there was just this judgment scene for the earthly
realm.
earth planet, because we have 12 planets. So the only planet which sinned is the earth. It's the 12th one. So, but where he manages all other planets in the universe and heaven and earth is in the third heavens. That's why it's called a universal throne. But here on the first heaven, in the first heavens, is what is called the earthly throne. It's only to deal with all the sins that are in the earth.
Okay.
And then after we are saved, the earthly throne is destroyed.
There's no more use of it.
Yeah, we find it in Revelation chapter 15, that it was now full of smoke.
Smoke.
And he didn't go in anymore until the 7 last plagues were finished. And then he took the saints.
Well,
That's
its
why
mission
the-
was accomplished.
the mission was accomplished. So the earthly throne is just for the mission of the earth to cleanse the sins on earth. This is what William Miller was supposed to understand before he assumed he was coming on earth.
Okay.
But the coming was okay, but it was not coming on earth. It was
coming
coming
to
to
the
the
first
first
heaven.
heavens. So your question is, where do we find these 5 angels?
That's right.
We find them in Revelation 14, the first one to open up the prophecies, because the keys of understanding Revelation are in Daniel.
Daniel.
And so the first one, whereas it was promised to Daniel that it will be opened in the time of the end, that's William Miller who started. That's why we see him on Revelation 10. Christ himself comes with the book, opening the book, and he stepped on the sea and on the land. So why is he stepping on both? So to show that he is the one who is in charge of the earth. One, by redemption. He died for it.
Yeah, he died for the universe to redeem it.
He is the one who is going to redeem it. He is the one who also said, let there be light.
Yes.
So God was creating through his son. So he came and stepped on there to say now the book is opened, and raised William Miller to start now in the first angel's message. which
So
was
it's
in
well established
1821.
that William Miller is the first angel's
It's the
message.
first angel's message.
Okay.
And then let's go to the second angel's message, Revelation 14, verse 8. So he was preaching to these churches who had run away from the men of sin and were reforming and saying the men of sin is changing times and laws and this and that. You know, all these churches, Martin Luther, John Knox, everyone, they were reforming. So he now was raised, William Miller was raised to preach to all these denominations that had been formed. So say, now prepare for the coming of Christ in 1844. It was a test dose. So it was a test dose to see whether people are ready for the coming of Christ. Like we say, yeah, now it's time of the end. But when people are told he's coming next week, how many will be saying, okay, that's fine. They rejected William Miller. And that's why That's where he was also joined by this lady, Ellen Hammond, with the whole of her family. They were disfellowshipped by one of the Reformed churches. Without mentioning their names, I know we know where Ellen White came from. So they now joined William Miller as a student, and the churches knew that she was now a student there, and they disfellowshipped her and the whole family.
So when she joined, pardon me, when she joined William Miller,
Yeah,
was it before or after the second angel's message? When was it?
she was a student.
She was still a student?
Yes, while
Okay.
Miller
Was proclaiming.
she was part of the students for William Miller. So when she was disfellowshipped, that's when now there was a disappointment. We know the disappointment, it is there. It's written in Revelation chapter 10 that's why he was told to eat the book. It
Which
will
was
be
bitter.
sweet in the
Okay.
mouth, but bitter in the belly.
Okay.
So that was the disappointment. The bitterness in the belly was the disappointment. And when there was a disappointment, Sister White proclaimed that it's not coming.
To the earth.
It was God had to reveal to Sister White that it's not the coming on earth. It is the coming into the Hall of Holies on the 22nd of October, 1844. Christ went into the Hall of Holies. It's one of the fundamental beliefs also of Adventism. We believe that happened in 1844. So that's when he went into the Hall of Holies to start the intercessory work. So Sister White, if you go and read in the Great Controversy and everywhere where he's talking about this disappointment, you'll find that Sister White had long uttered to William Miller. But William Miller was being influenced by brethren who were around him. And they were influencing him not to listen to Sister White.
What did she told him?
That it was not the coming on earth. 13 years before that happened. I mean, not 13 years. It says 13 weeks or something. I'll clarify that point. How many weeks before that disappointment? She had already told William Miller that is not the coming, because God had revealed to Sister White. But the brethren around William Miller, pride of opinion.
Always take prominence.
And they caused William Miller to err. But that's why they say in other books, it says God had to feel pity for William Miller and laid him to rest. Yeah, because he didn't want to dispose the instrument that he had used. So he had to protect him by laying him to rest.
Surely, to be honest, after such great work that he had
After such great work, because people sold their lands and houses, and people
Properties.
ready for the coming of Christ.
done, then it didn't happen.
And then it didn't happen. God had to lay William Miller because he saw that the brethren were going to cause him to err and reject the message from Sister White. So, but that's where Sister White now took over the third angel's message in verse 9, Revelation 14, verse 9. Let's read from verse 9. Because Revelation 14, verse 8 was the second angel's message preached by William Miller after these other reformers rejected him.
What did they reject?
They rejected the coming of Christ. They were not
The
ready.
message that he had preached to
They were not ready.
Okay.
They did not want
For Christ to come.
Christ to come, like it is right now. You tell people Christ is coming. He's built a mansion and everything. And I'm telling me this is. I remember there was one brethren. It's not a brethren. It was just a relative or a friend. So when we went there to visit them, it was time for us to go to bed at night. That was a very big mansion, you know. And then they asked my husband to pray. And my husband made a small sermon just to show that the world is not our home.
My goodness me.
The world is not our home, and he even prayed for the coming of Christ. And in his short sermon, he was saying, this world is not our home. Let's not base our thoughts on this world. But we were in a mansion. So the wife phoned me the next day when we had left and says, oh, my husband was fuming all night.
After you guys had left.
After we had left, said, why? Says, well, they come to tell me that I wasted my time.
So you wanted someone
So-
to flatter him, but that's
Then
not
I just thought of William Miller, how he was preaching this message that Christ is coming. And people were against him because they built mansions, they built things, all these investments. And then to be told Christ was coming in 1844, they rejected him utterly. And that's when God raised him again to preach the Revelation 14 verse 8.
And there followed another angel,
They
saying,
followed.
And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen,
Right.
is fallen,
Right.
that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication.
Right. So you see, on that year in 1844, those who rejected William Miller, it was a heaven-sent message for the coming of Christ. Though the event was not the proper one, but the call, even if it was there, those who rejected that call, because they had no proof to say it was wrong. But when they rejected it,
this was the second angel's message here.
next they were called Babylon.
So
They could have said, no, we are not Babylon, because even Christ didn't come, but God called them Babylon.
sorry, Elder. So how long was the distance between him proclaiming the first angel's message and for him to call them Babylon?
From 1831, he was raised.
So that's when he proclaimed the first angel's message.
First angel's message.
Okay.
And then the second angel's message was just in spring, around Passover time.
Which year?
That's when they were waiting for his coming.
Okay.
It was Passover time. And it was sealed in October, 22 October. That's when they were, from 22 October, before 22 October, in spring they were told Babylon is fallen. They did not prepare for that event in spring. So in October, Sister White took possession now of the third angel's message. It was October.
So it was a very
In
swift
autumn. Yeah, it was in autumn. The seasons are very important with God, because you can see that spring they had to proclaim fallen Babylon, and then in autumn, then the third angel's message to warn then everyone coming from those churches that we are now starting another movement. If anyone in this movement also reject the times which were tempered with by the men of sin, because the men of sin was belonging to Babylon. So those who went away with Reformation, as long as they rejected William Miller's message, they also joined the men of sin.
The clan of the men of sin.
Yes, they became Babylon. So now, Sister White is saying, those now who come to join her,
So those who had advanced from William Miller coming forward.
coming with her, right, which were the Sabbath keepers,
Right.
then she gives a warning that if you also worship the beast, also reject heaven-sent message,
Like what other churches had done
like
before.
what these others
Other
have
reformers had
done,
Yeah.
you will drink from the wine of God's wrath, which is not mixed with mercy. This is now coming to those who joined Sister White in 1844 and became Sabbath keepers.
Okay.
And the warning has not been hidden. Why? Because what is to worship the beast? To go by the times of the beast. So the times of the beast, we saw they were all lineage to paganism.
Okay.
And also the Ten Commandments. Of the Ten Commandments, the only one, there were two changed actually, it's just the Sabbath. And also the second one, which says we shouldn't worship, we shouldn't have any graven images. The Sabbath on the Ten Commandments was tempered with, and also the one for the images. So, but on the festivals, because there are two things that were done by the beast.
Okay.
In Daniel chapter 7, verse 25, you find there were two things, two laws that were tempered with. It's
By the
not the
beast.
Ten Commandments only.
Okay.
Let's see from Daniel chapter 7, verse 25, especially in the Good News Bible. Have you found it? Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. Yeah?
He will speak against the supreme God and oppress God's people. He will try to change their religious laws and festivals.
Right. So the religious laws are the 10 Commandments.
Okay.
And the festivals. So Sister White attempted the first one, which is the religious laws, which is the Sabbath,
Well, to reinstate it
to
back.
reinstate it back.
Okay.
But she only theoretically wrote Patriarchs and Prophets on the topic called annual feasts in about page 537 there. Explained all the feasts one by one. But God sent these two guys, A.T. Jones and Wagona, in 1888 to further give these festivals back. Because it's not complete reformation if you just reform the religious laws without the festivals. Like it is some people now, we just have the 10 Commandments and we are enough all these festivals. Instead, the beast in our time will further nail the festivals. So that's how it joins Babylon.
So it's going to be more complicated than what it was before.
Yes, once you just say they were nailed to the cross,
That's it.
you are Babylon straight away. Like it was when, once you say the 10 Commandments, the Sabbath, you take it off and put it on a wrong place, you become Babylon.
That's right.
And also the festivals, which were also changed. If you nail them further and say we will no longer want to keep them, nothing according to pay later, Babylon also. So the people should know exactly what it is to be Babylon. They should go even to the Israelites by flesh. Why they to be taken out of Canaan to Babylon? It was because of these Sabbaths,
Yeah.
these
Continual
festivals.
backsliding and rejection of the
Yes,
laws of
so
God.
this is the same. When God's people reject His laws, His religious laws,
They're sent to
and the
Babylon.
festivals,
They go to Babylon.
this is their sin.
You know what, Elder? There's something also that baffles me. Since you've just mentioned it in relation to time and the religious festivals. You know, when we read the Bible, it tells us that a day is from sunset to sunset. Right? It tells us that a day is from sunset to sunset. And that's how we celebrate our Sabbath. We say it's Friday evening unto Saturday evening. But how come now the whole world, even believers, right, we're waiting for His second coming, they only depend on that aspect of time when they say it's from sunset to sunset when it is with the Sabbath. But when it is any other day, they celebrate the New Year, they wait until it's midnight. How does that work?
Because the religious laws and the festivals has got a lot of things.
Okay.
There's not only the 10 Commandments, not only the festivals, but all these religious laws. It's a lot of things that were changed. The time the
There's an
Sabbath,
aspect of time.
the time the day starts. The time cannot start at midday
Because
when we are
didn't.
sleeping.
No.
No. It's a sunset. In the Bible, it's sunset to sunset.
Right.
You can read it. When God started in Genesis chapter 1, the very beginning of the day. Let's hear Genesis chapter 1, verse 1.
In the beginning,
Right.
God created the heaven and the earth.
Right?
And the earth was without form and void,
Right?
and darkness was upon the face
So
of
what
the
starts?
Darkness.
Darkness. So when does darkness start?
Night.
Sunset.
Evening time, yeah.
That's where we begin the day. This midnight came from meddling with the time.
That breaks my heart, honestly.
That's why when we are sleeping and then they say now today is now going to be New Year, they start when we are in the middle of deep sleep with it in the middle of the night. But if we go only from the beginning of the Bible, it says, what was there? Darkness. So when we are in the broad daylight, we are finishing the day,
Yeah.
which started with darkness. So that's why throughout, we start even the Sabbath sunset on Friday.
So why is it that even Second Advent believers, when it comes to the Sabbath, they believe, yes, it starts at sunset. But when it comes to every other day, they wait for midnight.
That's why we call Babel. Babel
That's
is
proper confusion.
It's confusion.
That's proper confusion.
Babel is confusion. One time you're saying we're starting Sabbath at sunset. And one time you're saying it's Happy New Year, still in the house of God, Happy New Year in the middle of the night. And on the, 1st January is only the 11th month, or the 10th month is within the 10th month in the biblical calendar. So when you just listen, you say, it's like someone who tells you that the Sabbath the Sabbath is or the Sunday is a seventh day.
Mm.
You look at that person twice and say,
what did you just say? What do you mean?
The first day in the Bible is Sunday.
That's right.
But you can't call it the seventh day. So it's the same thing with all this time. They were just like tempered with. And even though you see there was darkness, read on, let's hear on Genesis 1 verse 1.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep.
Right.
And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters.
Right.
And God said, let there be light.
Right.
And there was light.
Right. So what followed? Light.
Light.
Light followed. Light followed. Right. So in the Bible, it says the first day. Listen to the next sentence there.
And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness.
Right.
And God called the light day. And the darkness he called night.
Right. So there's 2 times in the Bible. It's day
and night.
And night. But he started what is called 3 times of a day. There's a time which starts at 12 midnight when we are sleeping.
What is that time called?
I don't know. It's all of a sudden, even the clocks, they start telling 000 after 12 o'clock. Which is not biblical.
I wonder where we
Then you
got that
start
from.
counting is 1 o'clock. After 12 midnight. 1 o'clock and then 2, 3, 4, like that. And that time we start at midnight there, 1 o'clock, is longest. It's got 12 hours. From 1 o'clock to 12 midday.
Oh, that's why it's all AM.
It's called AM.
Okay,
AM,
okay.
But it's not there in the beginning in the Bible. It's not there. There's what is called day and night.
Yes.
And also, from 12 midday, there come a short time called PM, or what you call afternoon. It starts from 12 to sunset.
To like sunset, yeah.
It's about 6 hours in general. It's not there. There's no dividing of a day there in Genesis. It says day and night. As long as it is light, it's called day. But they started to graduate it so that the other time starts at 12 midday, so that we start what we call afternoon. And this noon, where this noon is coming from, there is no noon in the Bible.
It's just day and night.
There's no midday, there's no noon. So this is what was happening in the time of the Dark Ages. Men of Sin introducing all this. And then there is also another remainder of the 6 hours, starting at sunset to midnight. It's called evening. Or it's called evening. When you say good night, there's a time called evening first. And it comes after afternoon.
Yeah.
And then it's evening and then night, midnight. So all these graduations are not there in the Bible. And when you read there, it says day and night. So these were what was happening during the darkness, which was called Babylon in the Bible. So when you now refuse the times gazetted in the Bible, where then do you belong?
That's definitely is Babylon.
There's someone who is doing that special work. When you start introducing other times which are not even biblical, we have only seen them when Baal was worshipped. It's got all these other times that are not there in the Bible. So there's need for those who are preparing for translation to be very careful with the Bible.
So maybe circling back to where we first started.
Right.
So William Miller preached the first angel's message, and he preached the second angel's message, where he was saying, falling is Babylon.
Yeah, you have refused the time.
Yes, to the time.
2,300 days.
Right.
So you're fallen. That's why they were not penalized I mean, they were not given any pat in the shoulder for refusing William Miller, because what they refused was the time.
Which was the most important thing
2,300 days.
at the time.
It was the time. Though Christ didn't come, but they rejected that time. So it's more about time that people become Babylon. Because God could have said, William Miller, if after all what you have been talking about, Jesus didn't come in 1844, but he was accurate all the time.
That's true.
And that's what they rejected. So you see, William Miller preached the second angel's message to call them Babylon, because they rejected the time. They did not reject the coming of Christ because Christ never came anyway. But it was the time of the
aspect of time.
2,300.
Okay.
So those who are rejecting time, furthermore, that's why we see this is now the second angel's message. And then we see Sister White coming to change another time, the Sabbath. Yeah. So those who joined her, God is now worried about the time. That's why I say, if anyone worship the beast, what is the worshiping of the changing of his appointed times? Then you have also joined that one who are changing, manipulating times. It's all about time. Worshiping God is all about time, Pastor.
Wow. So, okay. Hey, wow. Yeah, I don't even know what to say anymore. But right. So, first angel's message is William Miller. Second angel's message is William Miller. Third angel's message is
Sister White.
Sister White.
Right.
From Revelation chapter
Revelation 14,
verse
9.
Verse
now.
9. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So in verse 9, the warning has not been heeded at all.
What does it say, by the way?
Let's see verse 9.
Verse 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image,
Right.
and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God.
So this is the warning. And
Just
then
so
you
warning.
hear people, Sabbath keepers, asking you, this Sister White keep the festivals. But who is giving the warning of the
She's
festivals?
the one who's giving the warning, yeah.
It's the warning of the times. Because what the beast did was tamper with the times. So the warning Sister White is giving is the warning of wrong times. So why are you asking, did she, because she wrote the whole chapter on annual feast in Patriarchs and Prophets,
Right.
page 537,
Right.
539 there. It's annual feast. Gave all the whole theory of it. And then these two guys came,
Bogan and Jones.
Wegener and Jones, in 1888, with the ceremonial system, with two laws. And which were the laws? The moral
And
and the ceremonial. And we saw it in book 1, Selected Messages, page 233 to 234. Read it on your own if you want. It was when they had to go to Sister White to say, these two guys are not prophets. They are coming and saying it is the two laws, which is the ceremonial law and the moral law, which have to bring us to which are the schoolmasters, which Galatians is talking about, which are to bring us to righteousness of Christ. And they asked Sister White, is it what laws? Because the brethren wanted one law, which is the Ten Commandments,
the moral law.
the moral law. But Sister White answered and says it's both. Let's hear Sister White answering when she's saying, I'm asked about the moral Galatians, which are the schoolmaster in Galatians to bring us to Christ, which Galatians was saying. Right. Let's hear where she said that.
233.1.
Right.
Page 233.4. Yeah.
I am asked concerning the law in Galatians. What law is the schoolmaster to bring us to Christ?
Right.
I answer, both the ceremonial and the moral code of the Ten Commandments.
Finish.
Wow.
She endorsed
Complete.
She
Exactly.
endorsed the festival.
Exactly.
She's the one who endorsed it because these guys were bringing those, and the brethren were asking Sister White,
What is the schoolmaster
what
to
is
bring
this
us to
schoolmaster? Because the brethren only wanted the moral law.
But still, Elder, even still today, people still try to separate the two.
Yeah, that's
The
why
moral and the
Christ
ceremonial.
says to some people, even they hear someone coming from the grave, they won't even change. He has said so. He has said so. Even they won't even hear. And when you are a tear, you are a tear. You don't change. You don't pretend to be someone. This message of the 5 angels message will prove who is a tear and who is
Not.
not. Yeah. Because There are some people who have ears and eyes.
But they don't see, they
They
don't,
don't
hear.
see, they don't hear. But the truth will not stop because of that.
No, it won't.
It will continue to those who have eyes and ears to hear. So here Sister White was asked. So it's endorsing that it's both
The ceremonial
and the moral. But the brethren, even when they heard the prophet who they said was a prophet, endorsing both the moral and ceremonial. Go to 234 there. They had to make a bitter war against the brethren, A.T. Jones and Wekono, so that they don't accept these festivals. Let's hear them.
An unwillingness to yield up preconceived opinions.
So they had preconceived opinion. That Sister White has just come to allow us only to keep
The moral code.
the moral code. But
That's
now
preconceived.
Sister White has said, no, it's two in the ceremonial. But now she records that there was an unwillingness now. Listen to that.
And to accept this truth.
They were so, and it's not that the truth was not correct. It was correct. And they were so unwilling to take it. Until today, some of them are so unwilling. So we cannot stop proceeding because of
No.
unwillingness. There was an unwillingness to accept that truth of the festivals. They only want to continue with the moral, which I doubt if the moral is being attended to.
Because you can't keep the moral.
You
within
can't
the
keep
ceremony.
one and ignore the other. That's one thing. Once you have the moral, you will still want
The ceremonial. It's like
Now,
hand in glove.
what is the unwillingness? Let's hear.
To yield up preconceived opinions.
Right.
And to accept this truth lay at the foundation of the large share of the opposition manifested at Minneapolis.
So this warning, if any man worship the beast, already they did not heed to that warning. Because there is an unwillingness to keep the festivals. So the devil well knows when you take the moral law only and reject the other one, which was changed in the Dark Ages, forget. Because with God, what is ruling heaven right now is both laws.
The moral and the ceremonial.
So if you just accept one and don't accept the other one, which are the statutes of heaven and the statutes of the earth. That's why he says in Isaiah chapter 66, verse 22 to 24, that from one new moon to another, from one Sabbath to another. So the Sabbath is on the 10 Commandments. But the new moon is on the ceremonial.
Wow.
So both of them,
There are laws governing heaven.
they reign in heaven. So once you just say, okay, I just want the 10 Commandments, I don't want the ceremonial,
What are
you
you
lost it.
saying?
You've lost
What
it.
are
You're
you saying?
Babylon straight away. You've lost it. Straight away, you've gone. You missed the mark.
So, Elder, is there any way, let's say, about where Sister White, when she was talking about the mark of the beast, whatever, is there anywhere maybe in her writings where she mentioned about the mark of the beast or anything related to the mark of the beast and time and stuff like that?
Right. I will take you where we were reading. I will take you to one great controversy,
Okay.
page 594.2. So we are still on the third. We want to see them up to the fifth, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Now let's read. I want to answer your question first. From that paragraph on point 2, GC 594.2. Read on, let's hear. When God
sends to men warnings so important that they are represented as proclaimed by holy angels flying in the midst of heaven,
Right.
he requires every person endowed with reasoning powers to heed the message.
Right.
Go on.
Right.
The fearful judgments denounced against the worship of the beast and his image should lead all to a diligent study of the prophecies to learn what the mark of the beast is and how they are to avoid receiving it.
So people need to study and see what it is to be having the mark of the beast.
And how to avoid it.
How to avoid it. Why? Because God is dealing with time. These are his times. So people need to heed what is meant by the mark of the beast. Not what they all 666 Sunday law. They go up to Sunday law and they finish there. But they don't know that all these other areas are still on the mark of the beast. It's not only Sunday law.
There's so much
There's
to it.
so much to it. 666 covers a lot, including what we are rejecting. It's 666. So when furthermore, we cannot expect the beast who was in the dark ages to put 666 in the church,
Okay.
because we don't even worship with him.
No, we don't.
So who then puts the 666 in the church? Those in front of us who advocate that we shouldn't keep the feast.
Do you mean the people who believe to be spiritual guardians of the people?
Right. Be careful. Be careful. When you listen to them, you have to check. Is it written in the Bible?
To the law and to
To
the
the law
testament.
and the testimony. Otherwise, you'll be swept. Because it says so in Testimonies to Ministers, I think. Page 106, somewhere that says, but beware.
But beware of rejecting that which is truth.
Right.
The great danger with our people has been that of depending upon man and making flesh their arm.
Exactly.
So they are given these festivals. They will go to the man.
But they've got the Bible and the spirit
They
of
have the
prophecy in
Bible
front
and
of
the
them.
spirit of prophets. But Sister White says the danger with our people
has
is to
been that
listen
of
to
depending
men.
upon man.
When the Bible is clear and the spirit of prophets is clear, they go to men. Now listen to that. Read and finish.
Those who have not been in the habit of searching the Bible for themselves or weighing evidence have confidence in the leading men and accept the decisions they make.
Right.
Because they've not been in the habit
So
of searching the
this is
scriptures.
how they are going to have
The 666. Oh, my goodness me. This is heartbreaking.
They have confidence. Instead of having confidence in a thus say the Lord. They're just, these ones, these are nailed to the cross. We are now having Christ. That's it. That's it. And when they see it's clear from the spirit of prophet saying, these mark of the beast is got to be studied to know what is involved in the mark of the
And how
beast.
to avoid it.
And then he says, it was all about the time. When the Sabbath was changed, it was all about the
It's all
time.
about the time. It's all about
When the festivals were changed, it was all about time. When the day was changed from twice, day and night, to 3 times, it was all about time. When the beginning of the year was changed, it was all about time.
Because the main objective for all this is just to confuse the people of God so that they receive the 666.
So now you said the fearful judgment denounced against the worship of the beast and his image should lead all to a diligent study
Right.
of the prophecies to learn what the mark of the beast is and
Right.
how they are to avoid receiving it.
That's right.
Now, unless people learn, they will be receiving it. Because judgment begins in the house of God. How you will receive it in the house of God first.
Is what matters.
Before, let's not be reciting the 666 which will be received in the Gentile world. It starts in the church. While the devil is pointing us to the Gentile world 666, yet the 666 starts with us.
I think the most detrimental effect is it's going to start in the church, right? So the people are going to be conscientized. They're going to,
It's already started.
and then they go and ask the
If they are
spiritual leaders.
denouncing the festivals, which the pen of inspiration says they were changed also in the dark ages, and then they come and say they were nailed to the cross. It's already started. We are talking of a delayed match.
So it's a gamble, Elder, because
Yeah.
some people now, when they hear, okay, of course, there's going to be whispers to say it's now creeping into the church.
Yes,
The people are going to go to spiritual leaders.
right.
They ask the spiritual leaders,
The spiritual leaders. This is the same thing which was happening in the dark ages. They're going to the spiritual leaders and they were changing times and laws, and the rest of the flock flocked with them. And this now, when it starts begins in the house of God. Same thing. But unfortunately, this is how God is marking us. And that mark is permanent. Once you are marked with the mark of God, it's permanent. You can't go the other way around. And once you reject, you rejected. That's the last mercy that God is giving us. So read on from the paragraph you were reading.
I'm tongue-tied.
The fearful judgments denounced against the worship of the beast and his image should lead all to a diligent study of the prophecies to
Right.
learn what the mark of the beast is and how they are to avoid receiving it.
That's right.
But the masses of the people turn away their ears from hearing the truth and turned unto fables.
Oh my
Right.
goodness.
What are they entertained with?
Fables.
Fables. Stories, and the other day we were preaching, it says the devil has laid his piping tunes to entertain them so that they don't
You do the message.
hear
of
the
sin.
message, and this is how they are going to receive 666, starting from the church. Now, read on and finish there. That's why Timothy says in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 3, what does he say?
The time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine.
And the time has come.
This
now.
is the time.
This is the time.
When the sealing process is going on, sound doctrine is being given to people of how to avoid
The mark of the beast.
mark of
and
the
how
beast.
to be sealed for the God.
and
of
how
God.
to be. Then instead, the devil comes
With fables.
giving fables. So the ears are turned from sound doctrine to fables. Now, read on and finish. That time
That time has
has
fully
fully
come.
come. That's what is a great controversy said. That time has fully come. You see people bragging of not keeping feasts. Time has fully. So you wonder what they are going to church to learn.
Fables.
Fables. It's a powerful to fables. Powerful. And what?
The multitudes do not want Bible truth
Right?
Then that's
because
true.
it interferes with the desires of the sinful, world-loving heart,
Right.
and Satan supplies the deceptions which they
My
love.
goodness, my goodness.
So because the multitude, like see, the new moon was there on the 7th. It was in the midweek, Thursday. The multitude, they want
There's
to
so
use
much
that.
interference.
They want to use that day
to do something else.
to do something else which has nothing to do with God. So for you to go and say it's a new moon, they say, so what? Please leave me alone. The multitude don't want to hear.
Because it interferes
It
with the
interferes
sinful
with
heart.
yes. Whatever they are going to be doing on Thursday, when it is a holiday on Sabbath, it's useless. Because look at when we die, how much talents do we leave? Things that we were engrossing our minds with, which never helped us when we die. The only person who wins when he dies or when she dies is the one whose name is written in the book of life.
Absolutely. Amen. That's true.
That's what the person who has wept for God
Diligently.
and that's the one who says death is they say in death you have won.
Yeah.
So this one is the one that is won. But not when you are busy making sure the things of God have nothing to do with your ear. You just engrossed in things and making sure and you accumulating wealth and accumulating things, and then when you are dead. Death is so wasteful.
It is. It
It's
is.
so
very
wasteful. All these things that you have left. Look at the billions in the bank. Look at the assets and everything. All your mind was on there.
And they get
And death
abused by
just
the
comes. They
get
abuse
abused
they
by the people who
abuse
never
while
wait for them.
they abuse even when you are still
in the mortuary.
no, when you're still sick. I've got a relative who, when she was sick, when I was talking to her, she was now bedridden. She couldn't, in her own bedroom. She was very wealthy. And the wardrobes were so many like that, full of lovely clothes. So when I was talking to her, she was saying, you know what, the people who are caring for me, some domestic workers, she was paying them. It's another country, not I won't mention the country. And she said, these people who are caring for me, after they finish washing and dressing me, I can actually physically see them going to my wardrobe.
To do what?
To select clothes.
For themselves.
For themselves. She can't even stop them because these are the people who are looking after her. She said that before she died. She died actually.
Oh,
But that's what she was telling me when she was there. I can see them selecting lovely clothes, my lovely suits, they take. And she was bedridden.
She can't even wear the
hopeless.
stuff. She can't even.
All that stuff, everything. And imagine if they started nipping while she was still alive.
Well, she could still see them.
She would see them, she can't stop them, she still wants their help. She couldn't do anything. They started nipping everything. And even when she died, I imagine, she was very rich. How many people just grabbed the things that you worked for throughout your life?
At the expense of your
It was worthy.
salvation.
If she would say, I worked to make sure my name is in the book of life, you win something.
You do.
When you go to the grave there, you have won.
Absolutely, yeah.
Than to concentrate on these things and disregard the things of God because they're coming to inconvenience you from doing this and that. I've got a shift, I've got this and I've got this one. Will those things help you when you go to die? Will they ever help you?
They'll never.
Now, this is what the mark of the beast. And then I've got that one in this one, the other one I told you, page 17.
Oh, the testimony, volume 6.
Volume 6.
Oh, okay.
Volume 6, T6, Testimony for the Church, Volume 6, page 17. Listen to what you have found. Which paragraph is it?
Yes, it's the first paragraph. Yeah.
First paragraph.
The light we have received upon the third angel's message is the true light.
Okay.
The mark of the beast is exactly what it has been proclaimed to be.
Right,
Okay.
Not all in regard to this matter is yet understood,
right,
nor will it be understood until the unrolling of the scroll.
right.
But a most solemn work is to be
So
accomplished
you
in
see,
our world.
until the rolling of the scroll, it stops when? When Christ comes.
Yeah.
So each time it's unrolling what is called the mark of the beast. So you cannot just make tune and say 666, Sunday, Lord, Sunday, that's it. All these other things that we are neglecting and nailing to the cross are what is the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast continues to want to be researched about. Because when we know that judgment begins in the house of God, so how then does the Sunday law affect those who are already keeping Sabbath? How does it?
Yeah.
It doesn't affect them because they know it's wrong. Already they've professed to keep the Sabbath. So they need their test. What test? In the mark of the beast. What else was changed by the beast? That's their test. The festivals. There you are. You can't test me with Sunday. I know what it is.
You know what the difference
Yes, the
between
first day of the week, I know it is.
Yes.
You can't test me with that. The only thing that they have to be tested of is what they
Something
do
else.
not know. What they have rejected in 1888 is a test to us. That's their mark of the beast.
So, Elder, sorry, can I ask you to hold on to that thought before we proceed? Right. So here it's saying the light that Sister White was saying they have received upon the third angel's message,
Yes.
which was the changing from Sunday to Sabbath. Right. She said, and she endorsed it, it's true light.
Right?
Right. And she goes on to say, not
Not all.
in regard to this matter
Right.
is
So she
yet
still has
understood.
more things to come.
So now,
Which identify what the mark of the beast is.
is right. So I think we're moving together. Right. So am I right to think that since she said, nor will it be understood until the unrolling of the
Of the
scroll,
scroll.
it means
We are yet to move.
other messengers who are going to come after her
Will further.
will shed more light
Right.
in relation to this subject.
Right.
Okay.
So it's true that the mark of the beast, most people don't know it. The masses don't know it.
They don't.
For you, when you see them nailing the fist to the cross, you say, alas, they don't even know it's the mark of the beast. Though they don't assume the pagan laws. Some will say, I don't even have pagan laws.
Right.
I only have the Sabbath. But whether there is no neutral.
It's either or. A or.
Either you're keeping God's feast or you're in the pagan world. That's it.
Yeah. There's no in between.
No, there's no in between. There's no neutral. So it's either you are, like it is with the Sabbath, it's either you're keeping it
Or
or
you're
you're not. Don't tell me you've got other. No. You're not. That's it. That's where the mark of the beast is. So some will receive it even though they didn't even venture into the pagan world, because they are not keeping God's statutes. That's why he raised Elijah the prophet with the statutes and judgments, because that's the one that's going to test them in the mark of the beast.
So what is it that these other, since we are talking about the third angel's message, these two other extra more messages to make it 5, like you said,
Right.
what are they going to be talking about?
Right,
What is
let's
this
go,
all
to,
going to be?
let's go to Revelation 14 and see is the third angel the last one in that chapter. Let's hear in Revelation chapter 14, after verse 9, which was warning us about the mark of the beast. Then we go also start from verse 14 in the same chapter.
Okay.
And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown,
Right?
and in his hand a sharp sickle. And
So you see, this angel comes different
Okay.
from the one that was hovering. But this one is described as the one who looked like the Son of Man.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's
He
right.
has got a sharp
sharp
sickle.
sickle.
These
And the
other
golden
three
crown.
did not have a
They
sharp
were just flying in the midst of heaven.
and did not even resemble the Son of Man. So these, when someone is carrying a sharp sickle, is carrying a mark, a symbol of harvest.
It's an instrument of harvesting.
It's coming. These are now what comes with the mark of the beast pertaining to those who have received the Sabbath. For Sister White made us receive the Sabbath,
Right. Right.
which is the seal, first seal.
Right. Which is the seal God.
Yes, because in early writing, page 15, we have 3 seals.
Right.
Let's go to early writing, or even Revelation chapter 3, verse 12, will give you 3 seals. Now let's hear early writings.
the 144,000 were all sealed and perfectly united. On their foreheads was written, God, New Jerusalem, and a glorious star
So there are
containing Jesus'
3.
new name.
There's God, there's New Jerusalem, there's a comma there. God, comma, New Jerusalem, comma, and a glorious star containing Jesus' new name. So these are 3 seals. So the Sabbath keepers, they've accepted the first one, which is God, which is the Sabbath.
Right.
But these other 2, they are coming with what they are rejecting. What if they rejected the festivals? These 2 are gone. That's why they eventually become Babylon. New Jerusalem and the glorious star, which is Jesus' new name, is the branch. We saw it in Zechariah chapter 6, verse 12. Is the branch. So it's also in Great Controversy, page 415. It's the name Christ assumes when he's interceding.
Okay.
So when they refuse these other laws that were meddled in the Dark
The
Ages,
ages with, yeah.
they are carrying these two seals, New Jerusalem and Jesus' new name, where he assumed in 1844 and became. Let's see whether he is the branch. Go to Zechariah chapter 6, verse 12. So these are the 2 more.
Verse 12.
And
speak unto him, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord of hosts,
Right.
saying, Behold the man whose name is the branch,
Right. So you see, it's in capital.
and he shall grow up out of his place, and he shall build the temple of the Lord.
So you see, now he's building the temple, which when we research, we find it is Church Triumphant Temple. Right. So this man who is the branch, we want to see, as it is in capital letters, whose name is it? And when is that name? In Great Controversy, page 415, you find it is clearly elaborated from Zechariah chapter 6.
Okay.
Sister White is paraphrasing from that verse, explaining who the branch
Giving more
is.
information.
About the branch. Yeah,
Okay.
let's hear. 415
In GC.
in Jesse.
The work of Christ as man's intercessor
Right?
is presented in that beautiful prophecy of Zechariah concerning him whose name is the branch.
So it's the work of Christ
As man's
as
intercessor.
man's intercessor, which he started in 1844.
When he moved from the third heavens to the first.
That's when he assumed the name branch.
Okay.
So now he brings it as a seal. That's Jesus' new name. So when they reject the name, the two more angels that will come, the two more angels we find now in 1929, after Sister White had died in 1915.
Right.
So 1929, Sister White had already gave a warning in early writing. Yes, in early writing, page 277, she gave a warning that there's still more angels to come. Let's hear. 277.
I saw angels hurrying to and fro in heaven, descending to the earth and again ascending to heaven,
Right.
preparing for the fulfillment of some important event. Then I saw another mighty angel commissioned to descend to the earth, to unite his voice with the third angel and give power and force to his message.
Right. So it's coming where the third angel is
To
working.
give power and
So
force to the
third
third.
angel was being preached by Sister White in the church. So this angel comes to join in the church.
Because I think from our previous studies, we actually mentioned that an angel is a messenger.
Right.
So she's saying another person is
person
going to come and unite
preach
with
to
the
the-
message she was proclaiming.
Like it is with Sister White when she came to join, to join, because that's why they said like it was when the midnight cry came, right?
Okay.
So when Sister White came to join William Miller,
Right.
he did not take the whole masses of the people who were with William Miller.
Oh, Sister White.
Yeah,
She
because
did not, okay.
that's what we said. Even William Miller was vulnerable. That the brethren were going to influence him to reject Sister White.
Okay.
So that's why God laid him to rest.
So that the work can progress.
But part of the people who were with William Miller went into fanaticism,
Okay.
rejected Sister White completely, outrightly. And also, just a few joined Sister White.
And
But
advanced with her.
where were the rest coming from? Because in Revelation chapter 10, verse, you will find in the chapter where John is told, go and prophesy again
Oh, yes. Okay.
to
okay.
multitudes
And yeah.
and
tongues
people and
kingdoms,
tongues.
yes.
So they are coming from these other churches that had rejected William Miller. They were now joining Sister White. Just a few people who were with William Miller.
Just a
joined.
handful.
A handful.
Okay. Okay.
Because the pride comes, like it is now with those who were with Sister White. When they saw A.T. Jones coming, they rejected. They even went to Sister White to say, are they right, whether it's 2 laws or 1 law? He says, yes, it's 2 laws. The ceremonial law and the moral. But still, even whether she said it, they became very proud to recant their preconceived ideas.
And they would rather prefer to.
They would rather prefer to die without accepting,
My
because
God.
that's what pride can do. Pride can do that. So the same thing happens with those who have progressed with Sister White's message. Pride came in 1929 when V.T. Hotef joined now to give the second seal, which is New Jerusalem. There was pride.
Hold on, Elder. I think we are now cooking on gas. We are now moving at a very fast pace right now. Right. So now you're bringing in 1929.
1929.
Message after the third angel's message, which is now we are talking about right now.
Right.
Okay. So who came in 1929?
V.T. Hotef, Brother V.T. Hotef.
Was he shedding more light on?
More, because Sister White has warned that there were another angel coming to join the third.
Right.
To his soul. To those who progressed, saw this man. To those who did not progress, they are still stuck on Sister White being the last. But there are those who progress, which are the road. They progress with V.T. Hotef.
Okay.
But those who did not progress, neither did they see anyone coming.
So they're still stuck
They're
where
still
she
stuck
left.
where
them.
she left.
My
And yet we have gone to the fourth. And also,
To the
those
fifth.
who progressed with the fourth, let's say in Revelation chapter 14, we still, from verse 14, we saw an angel come with a sickle,
Right.
up to 15,
Which
right?
is looking like the Son of Man.
Right.
Okay.
Let's go to verse 16. Another again.
And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped.
Right?
And another angel
Then another one again.
came out of the temple.
Those who has followed the road with V.T. Hotef, they also are stuck with him. Only a few will join Ben Roden when he comes. Another one again.
So this is yeah. So where the previous angel leaves the work.
They are also stuck there. It's a station. This is why Sister White saw that the Advent people were going, and when they met a station, some offloaded
And they were left there.
their luggage, and the luggage was left. And some people also were left. And next station, another. That was the vision until they were in the city.
But how can we not learn if we have got so much examples?
Because they started even when Christ came. Those who joined Christ were not the whole masses of the Jewish church.
No.
Pride comes first. Then you are left. The light goes with those who agree, and they go. And still, when the road message came, God still had another angel coming. That's what we read in verse 17. They read again.
And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven.
Right? So with a message again, which we believe is Ben Roden. So those who remained with the road, they won't even know much about Ben Roden.
Of course.
And no other one came also. No other message also came to them. But those who proceeded with Ben Roden got the message of the branch. And also them still have a test, because when Ben Roden died in 1977, we see his wife coming with the message of the feminine gender of the Holy Spirit.
My goodness, yeah.
And that one is a test then for everyone, because that's the time now for the Holy Spirit. Because Christ said, if I don't go, the Holy Spirit won't come. But when the Holy Spirit came, the first thing is she had to come through a lady. The lady introduced a lady. That was Sister Roden. To introduce that there's a feminine gender. There's a family in heaven composed of father, son, and mother. Like it is with your families.
Exactly.
So those who reject also that one, they're still rejecting. That's why I say, whoa, those who will rally until the end will win the mark. So there's a lot to test God's people so that they stand upright without any intercessor when Christ comes. So this one is the fifth message. But we want Sister White to confirm.
Yes.
To confirm that we have actually five.
Yes.
From the word to the little.
I've been waiting for this.
Word to the little flock, page 10.5.
Word to the little flock.
All classes of Second Advent believers
Right.
agree that the angel brought to view in the 6th and the 7th verses of this
So
chapter.
we started with the 6th verse, which is William Miller.
The first
and
angel's
7th,
message.
right?
The first and the
first
second.
angel's message.
Okay.
In the 6th and 7th was a message coming to the church and the world.
Okay.
All Advent believe that.
We agree.
We agree.
Okay.
Right?
To the church
Start
and the
again,
world.
start.
Okay.
All Advent.
All classes of the Second Advent believers agree that the angel brought to view in the 6th and the 7th verses of this chapter represents the Advent message to the church and the world.
Right?
If this is true, then all 5 of the angels brought to view in the chapter represent 5 distinct messages
Right.
prior to the Advent.
Right. Or we are left without.
A rule to interpret this
We are
chapter.
left without a rule to interpret.
Oh, that's the
So
same
that's
position
why
which
we
is
have
behind
5.
you.
This is
Okay.
behind me, yes. To remind everyone that we have 5.
We can't say 3. If
The whole chapter is
still
5.
continuing.
Then
from the third.
you want 3.
We'll be
Can't
left
pick
with
and choose.
No.
Can't pick and choose. So we are talking about the 5 angels' message. Unless we have those 5 angels' messages, the 3 seals won't come on our forehead.
So in relation to the times, Sister White has told us, okay, she's given her bit, right, explaining right what it is to worship the beast and his image. What about the 4th? What did they talk about? What about the 5th? What did they talk about? Because from 60, the book you gave us, it says, not all in relation to this chapter is yet understood until the unrolling of the scroll.
Right.
So if the 4th angel message came and the 5th angel's message came, we expect an addition of truth to know what it is to worship the beast or to avoid.
Yes,
his
because
666.
it was telling us from verse 9, which is the 3rd angel's message, the warning was, don't worship the beast.
Right.
But when you go to verse 14, to the 4th angel, let's hear the 4th angel.
Revelation 14.
14,
And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle.
Right? So it's just told us the sharp sickle. What happened to the next?
And another angel,
No. What happened to that sharp sickle? Verse 15.
and another angel came out of the temple,
Right.
crying with a loud voice,
Right.
to him that sat
To
on the
that
cloud,
one with the sharp sickle.
thrust in thy sickle
And we're
and
told,
reap,
just thrust in the sickle.
and reap.
And reap.
For the time is come for thee to reap,
Right.
for the harvest of the earth is ripe.
Now the harvest is ripe. But we cannot go to heaven with a ripe harvest which has not been collected. Like it is in the field. When
You
it
need
is
to gather the
ripe,
crops
you
together.
need to gather.
Yes, you need to
So
gather.
this message is there to gather now. It has to gather. But how is the gathering?
Exactly. I was going to ask you that.
That's when we find Revelation chapter 7 coming into play. First of all, we are warned by Micah 6 verse 9.
Okay.
This
What
year,
does it say?
Micah 6 verse 9 of the road coming to join Sister White. That road is coming. Right, let's hear.
The Lord's voice crieth unto the city,
Right?
and the man of wisdom shall see thy name.
Right?
Hear ye the rod,
Hear the
and
road.
who hath appointed it?
Who has appointed this road? It's coming to the city. Which city?
The
To the
people-
house of God.
Third angel's message believers.
Yes. This is crying. Crying is crying with messages. If you saw in Revelation chapter 14, the messages, the angels were crying.
Yes.
So this is what this angel is also crying with the sharp sickle.
Say, hear ye the road.
Hear ye the rod.
Oh, in other
Who
words,
has
he-
appointed it?
Wow.
So it means that people will be raised to say, after Sister White is dead, but who is this one then? Hear the rod. Who has appointed it? That's why you would see when Moses was conducting the first Exodus. Hear the rod.
You hear the road, yes.
You wouldn't do anything without a rod.
No. No.
It's the rod to do that. But what was the main job of the rod? When God was sending Moses and saying, what do you have in your hand? He said, I've got a rod. Oh no, put it down. And it changed.
Changed into a snack.
Now, what is it that he was going to do? He was going to organize Israel. 12 tribes. Set them for the Exodus. Back to Canaan. So when you are hearing that, first Exodus, we now have someone who is organizing the 12 tribes of Israel with the 144,000 being sealed. Revelation 7 is sealing the
It
144,000.
actually makes more sense now because you've mentioned the road.
It's the road
It's
to
the
do
road
that.
that will do.
Why Sister White has preached the message of the Sabbath with a hovering angel, which is hovering in the midst of the sky. But the road is a message coming which has to do with keeping the feast in the east.
Hold on, Elder. So is this an additional mention of how to avoid the mark of the beast?
That's it. Because these feasts have been left out from 1888.
That's right.
And yet they were there to gather the 144,000. That's why Sister White is saying, if it was received in 1888, it was only going to take 2 years for Christ to come. Because it was going to organize them into, because they now had all the message that God had bestowed on Israel. So when you see Revelation chapter 7, of course we have got the general idea that it comes from, it started in 1844. But we know 1844 it was the sealing of the Sabbath message, which gave us the first seal God.
Right.
But Revelation 7 verse 2 now is coming from the east. That seal is a messenger coming from the east. It has to do with the message from the east.
That's right.
Of how we have to keep the feast. This is what Brother Viti Wotef was introducing to incorporate the 144,000. That's why at the end, the 144,000 are standing on Mount Zion in the east.
Okay.
Mount Zion in Jerusalem. So we see in Revelation chapter 7. Let's go to Revelation chapter 7, verse 2. And you see that's where the fourth angel is.
And I saw another angel ascending from the east,
Right.
having the seal of the living God.
Right.
And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads.
So that's why I said this angel was not directly on in 1844. It came future to Sister White.
Okay.
Why? Because you see, Sister White's message was giving warning not to
Worship the
receive
beast.
worship the beast, and also introduced the what, the Sabbath
The Sabbath.
in
that's
the right place. And then after that, Sister White could not introduce the festivals because already she had been having problems. The brethren were rejecting her. This is why God had to send A.T. Jones and Wagona with the festivals, and they were rejected. Yet these festivals were bringing the second seal, which is New Jerusalem. So that's why it had to come now with the Brother V.T. Watef to explain that we have to keep this feast 3 times a year, as in Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 16, 3 times a year in the east.
In the east.
1 on the Passover, 2 in the Pentecost, and then 3 in the Feast of Tabernacle. So this is what he was, not to tell the world, everybody, but to tell those who are going to be sealed, 144,000, to have that seal, New Jerusalem. And this is one. Let's see if we went to the little flock, page 11 there, behind there after 10.5. 11, third paragraph. You'll find that it confirms that the Spirit of Prophecy confirms that there's still 2 more angels. Let's hear that.
The last 2 angels are messages of prayer.
Right?
We shall no doubt better understand them at the time of their fulfillment.
So it's got the last 2 messages, which will be better understood when?
At the time of their fulfillment.
Yeah.
At the time of so they were not there in the time of
The
Sister
very
White.
message. Okay.
They were to be understood when they come.
Okay.
And when now we are here, we know Brother Watef has died. Brother Ben Roden has died. The 5th angel already is proclaimed.
Right.
But what we need now is Elijah, who comes to incorporate all these 5 messages
Into one
to
vessel.
give them to the church so that they get their 3 seals.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So, because Revelation 7 will tell you that this angel says, till we have seals. So
plural,
it's
yeah.
not one
No.
angel. We is 2. So we know there's 2 more angels, 2 more messages, or 2 more seals. So you'd see that with the second angel, which is Brother Watef, preaching the 4th message, and then the 5th message, Brother Roden, will further elaborate on it when you talk about the 5 angels message when we come next.
Okay.
From the maybe next week on the question and answer. We want to finish this so that we understand what this mark of the beast
Is really about.
and how we have to receive the 3 seals in the judgment of the living.
And also how to prepare.
How to prepare and so that we can stand in front of Christ without a mediator.
I'm impressed. I'm beyond words. To be honest, Elder Mashida, thank you very much. We are so grateful for having you tonight.
Thank you.
And we pray God may continue to bless you and give you more wisdom, because the work that is committed to you is of great magnitude.
Amen.
And thank you, brethren, for tuning in tonight. You have all heard for yourselves. Come back next week, Friday. We're going to dig more into this subject and add more light to find out these 2 more messages which were sent to the church. What is it that they actually proclaimed in relation to the mark of the beast and the sealing of the servants of God? We wish you all a blessed Sabbath and continue to enjoy the holy hours. May God bless you and may God bless the reading of His word. Thank you very much.
Amen. This is